You've heard it before. We use only 10% of our brain. It sounds scientific, and honestly, it can feel a little alarming. But this is one of the biggest brain myths on the internet, and we can debunk it with simple, everyday evidence. First question, where did this 10% idea even come from? It didn't come from modern brain scans or solid lab results. It spread through misquotes, pop culture, and motivational talk. People love the idea of hidden power inside their minds because it feels like a shortcut to becoming smarter fast. But your brain isn't a half-empty battery waiting to fill up. Different parts take turns working, depending on what you do. Reading, moving, and listening use different networks each time. Even at rest, your brain is still active in the background. It's small, but it consumes a lot of your daily energy. That alone suggests it's not sitting off most of the time. If 90% were unused, evolution wouldn't keep it around. Unused brain tissue doesn't just sit there safely forever. When areas fail, people usually notice the change quickly. Speech, vision, balance, tiny shifts can be dramatic, fast, so the 10% claim collapses almost immediately under pressure. Here's the twist. One small detail makes it sound true. Not every neuron fires at the exact same moment, non-stop. That's normal, otherwise the system would burn out fast. Efficiency is timing, like a city that never fully sleeps. Some streets are quiet, but the city is still alive. Same with your brain. Circuits shift depending on the goal. So what should you remember from this right now? You don't have 90% unused brain sitting idle. You have a brain that switches modes constantly by design. Next, let's see why this myth spread so easily online. So why did the 10% myth go absolutely everywhere? Because it's simple, catchy, and it feels inspiring at first. A single number makes a story feel scientific and trustworthy. Even when the number is completely wrong in reality, some origins trace back to early psychology and confusion. We don't fully understand the mind got twisted over time. Not understanding something isn't the same as not using it. Another origin. Early brain maps were misread by people. Blank-looking areas were assumed unused, which was a mistake. Often they were just harder to measure with old tools back then. Today, scans show activity across the brain in clear patterns. Different tasks light up different networks depending on context. Talking, listening, moving, your brain shifts patterns very fast. Even daydreaming activates organized systems, not empty silence. Resting has its own default activity, working quietly behind the scenes. That's why you can feel idle while your brain still processes. The myth mixes one true detail with a wrong conclusion, basically. Now let's do a quick thought experiment just for clarity. If you used only 10%, most damage wouldn't matter much. You'd expect many injuries to do almost nothing at all. But real life doesn't look like that, and doctors know it. Small injuries can affect speech or vision, sometimes instantly. That means those areas were doing real work the whole time. So the brain is not mostly unused in any practical sense. Instead, it's mostly coordinated, like a system working together. And coordination is what feels like potential when you improve. You get better by training skills, not by unlocking hidden parts. Practice changes connections over time, little by little, daily. That's neuroplasticity, your brain adapting to what you repeat. Now let's move into the clean proof step by step. Proof 1, scans don't show a silent 90% anywhere. They show shifting activity across many regions all the time. Think of lights turning on in different rooms as needs change. No single room is the only one used in a working building. Proof 2, the brain has a real map of your body. Move a finger and a specific area responds right on cue. Feel a touch, and other areas respond just as clearly. Speak a word, and networks coordinate rapidly across regions. That's why small damage can cause real symptoms, not nothing. If 90% were unused, most damage would be harmless. But doctors don't see that in real patients ever. Function depends on many connected parts working as one, and connections matter as much as regions in practice. Think of it like a team, not a single hero. One weak link can reduce performance even if others work. Now, what does the myth get right, at least partly? You can improve performance dramatically with the right habits. Not by unlocking hidden brain sections like a secret door, but by training circuits you already have consistently. Skill builds efficiency, and that's the real upgrade. Practice can feel like unlocking potential, but it's just training. So a better phrase would be something like this, in plain words. You use your whole brain, just not all at once, in one moment. Different times, different tasks, different patterns by design. And that's honestly more impressive than the myth itself. Next, here's a simple test you can actually feel right now. Close your eyes and imagine walking through your own home. Notice you activate memory, vision, and navigation together. That's not 10%, that's coordinated teamwork, quietly running, and you can do it sitting perfectly still without moving. Proof 3, this myth spreads because it feels personal to you. It turns complex science into a motivational story you can repeat. Simple stories travel faster than careful explanations online. Social media rewards quick claims more than slow corrections. A short claim is easier to share than a long, detailed fix. We also love hidden potential stories for obvious reasons. They say you're not stuck, you just haven't unlocked it yet. That message feels powerful, hopeful, and motivating instantly. But feelings are not evidence, and evidence matters here. Evidence is what changes minds over time in reality. Now notice how the myth is usually presented visually. It's often a dramatic graphic with one tiny glowing spot. That image is persuasive, but it can be misleading because scans are comparisons, not percent used meters. Different tasks highlight different spots, not empty brain space. No scan is saying the rest is off, like a switch. It's just showing what changed most in that specific moment. The rest can still work in the background, quietly, like your phone. One app on a screen, many services running. You notice the loudest activity, not everything behind it. So the myth is a misunderstanding of a picture, basically, and a misunderstanding of what activity really means. Activity is not a percentage meter, like a fuel gauge. It's a pattern that changes with context and goals. So here's the real takeaway in one clean idea. You're not wasting your brain day to day. You're allocating it across goals, tasks, and priorities. And you can learn to allocate it better with habits. Which brings us to habits and focus in real life, because focus is what makes the brain feel more powerful. So how do you actually get smarter in real life starting today? Not by unlocking a hidden 90% like a secret reserve, but by improving how you use attention on purpose. Attention is like a spotlight you can aim deliberately. You can aim it well or waste it on noise. Most people lose focus because of constant switching all day. Your brain pays a cost every time you switch tasks. So the real upgrade is reducing distractions consistently. Here's a quick habit that helps, and it's simple. Do one task for 10 minutes, no switching, no checking. It sounds too easy, but it works surprisingly well because you stop paying the switching tax over and over. That's real cognitive efficiency, and it adds up fast. Want another practical tool that actually matters? Sleep. It's not optional if you want a sharp brain. Sleep helps consolidate memories quietly and reliably. It's like saving a file properly before closing the app. Cut sleep and your performance drops almost immediately. Third tool, move your body even a little. Movement boosts attention and mood in a real way. You don't need extreme workouts to get benefits. A simple walk is already a win for your brain, so the real secret isn't hidden brain power at all. It's consistent habits that compound over time. Tiny actions repeated are what change results. That's how you build a stronger brain in practice. Let's close the myth with one clear sentence right now. You use your whole brain, just not all at the same time. That's the truth behind the myth in simple terms. Next time you hear 10%, you'll know exactly what to say. Quick recap just to lock it in. Myth, you use only 10% of your brain. Truth, you use your whole brain every day, just not all parts at the same time in one moment. The myth is spread because it's simple, catchy, and inspiring. But simple does not mean true, and that's the key. What's real is practice, sleep, and focus, basic habits. If you want, I can debunk another popular myth next, like sugar makes you hyper, for example, or cracking knuckles causes arthritis, which is common. Comment which one you want next, and I'll cover it. I'll explain it clearly, calmly, and with evidence. If this helped, save it for later, share it with someone who still believes the 10% myth, and subscribe for more quick fact videos like this. Before we end, one last visual to remember. This is what whole brain really looks like in reality. Many regions working together at the same time, switching patterns depending on the task and context. That's the real superpower, not a hidden 90%. All right, myth busted, and the idea is clear now. Thanks for watching. I appreciate your time. See you in the next one very soon. Next episode, another myth. Same simple style. Pick one, sugar, knuckles, or cold weather, your choice. I'll break it down the same clear way, step by step. No jargon, no fluff, just simple facts. Just clear evidence you can actually remember, with visuals that make the idea stick easily. Done, myth busted, truth learned. See you next time.